Hi, Joan.
Hi, Jocelyn. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much. I'm
Oh my
super
gosh.
excited to be here.
I'm so happy to be here too. I think it's just such a cool moment to like I've had a few clients be like, "Oh my gosh, like I was manifesting being, I'm not saying this is you, manifesting being on the podcast and before I made my like big investment with you, I like decided that I was going to be a testimonial story." So, it's just so cool. I think to even think back, I remember when you messaged me that you were joining the cohort however many months ago and then like here we are and this is how fast things get to change.
I know it's really amazing, and a lot of it has to do with really being in your world, being in the cohort, and it's really activating in such a good way. So, yeah.
Thank you. Well, we're going to dive into that. So, before we do, could you just share a bit about you, your backstory, what you do? Oh, before that, because I love everyone's astrology. What is your sun, moon, and rising?
Okay. Capricorn sun, Pisces rising, Taurus moon.
Oh, I love that. That's why you have such a like beautiful, grounded energy. I could stand to have a little more earth in my chart.
Yeah, but the fire's good, isn't it?
The fire, the people love the fire. But yes, I love this. This is so beautiful. Okay. So, could you just share a little bit about your background and how you got into the work that you do? I think that something that is really cool and inspiring is you've been in this industry for about a decade. And I love this as well, too, for those of you who feel like, oh, because we're going to be celebrating Joan's first 10K month, but it's like for the, or 9,200 to be cash to
Right.
be
Yeah.
exact. But for those of you who've been feeling like I've been at this for a long time, like, am I ever going to get it? Like, defeat can start to set in. And I'm like, yes, right? Like, absolutely. It doesn't matter how long. We just need to receive like the tools, the activation, get in the right room, and all the different things. Obviously, apply the work. So I
Right.
love the what you're modeling too, as well, for some of our listeners who perhaps do feel like, oh my God, I've been doing all the things. What else needs to occur? And well, your answer would be join the cohort.
Yeah.
However, but I'm really excited for them to hear this story from you. So before we dive into the story, could you share more just about you and how you got into this work and like what you do?
Sure, yeah. So I think like so many people that are attracted to work with you, I was born with a big mission and a big vision. And for much of my life, I flip-flopped around like, how do I really activate this vision that I know is so near and dear to my heart? So for a while, I actually worked for Greenpeace International. I worked there for 10 years, but that strain of healing and being of service to others has always been a part of me. And so when I left Greenpeace, I knew that I wanted to open up a healing business. But first, I had to do a lot of healing on myself to really get myself ready to actually do that. And once I began in the healing business, I had the heart, I had the desire, but I had no business strategy or background. And my money consciousness was actually very, very low. And so it was in the beginning, in those first 10, 12, 13 years, it was a struggle. It's like, well, how do I even move my message out there? How do I get that money consciousness to really propel me forward? And there were many times when I felt like giving up, honestly, but my heart wouldn't let me. And so I actually came into your world through another one of your clients. I learned about your world. And I don't know, there's something about, I mean, there's many things about being in your world, but your world is very, very activating. So you must actually, put out there that you want to align to clients and attract those that are going to say a full body yes. And so before I came into your world, I said, this is my time to say a full body yes, to give it all that I got, to really show up firing on all cylinders because I know what it's like to press on the gas and the brake. And just as it feels so, that can be so self-defeating. And so when I came into your world, like doubt has been one of my big issues. when I came into the cohort, anytime that doubt would come up, I would be like, no, I am not entertaining that. I am not going there. And I know that part of it was being in your energy. And also I was able to sustain this full body yes after I left the cohort too. So yes, being in your world is activating, but you also teach how to sustain it and to show up for ourselves. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so beautiful. And can you share, thank you. Can you share a little bit about your work and what you do so our audience kind of has that lay of the land?
Yeah, so I'm an intuitive soul coach and I'm known as the Wise Woman channel. And so what I do is I help spiritual entrepreneurs and women in life transition meet, merge, and channel their wise woman within. And the wise woman within is simply the divine feminine embodiment of our soul. She knows who we are, she knows why we're here, she knows what will bring us the greatest joy. And when we're able to really tune in and channel her, life gets really rich. So for me, my wise woman within, she has become the CEO in my business. For women in life transitions, it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Where do I go? Especially women 50 and beyond, there's like this second spring that's coming in. And but sometimes it's like, well, what do I do? Well, the wise woman within, she knows exactly what to do. And she knows what will bring us the greatest joy. And when we allow her to really take the lead, life gets really juicy. Yeah.
This is so cool. And I also want you guys to hear for those of you who operate under the story that only people who teach business and money make money, which is ridiculous. Like, it's not true. You just hear people who teach business and money talk about the money they make because it's relevant to their company. But like, this is so because Joan is a very, like, you are a very spiritual teacher. And I have many, many clients who are really rooted in the spirituality when it comes to scaling a company. And it's such a great myth that that can't make you a lot of money or that it's somehow harder or more difficult. And I'm like, no, it's not. We just
Mhm.
still need to bring the business lens to it, right? To help you do so. And the very clear articulation and the packaging, the selling and the confidence and the money codes and all the different things. And then here we are. So I just love the work that you're doing. And also, even just the kind of like the age group of women and life stage that you're addressing
Yeah.
because it tends to be that like there's just a lot of attention given to what it looks like to start a family, to get into a relationship, to like all of these earlier stages, right? And then it's sort of like once you kind of hit 40s, 50s, it's like, no, you know what I mean? And really, you're only halfway there. And it's like, where is the support there?
Absolutely, right? And often for women in their 40s, 50s, even 60s, they're not done. They still have a
No.
dream that is like so near and dear to their hearts, but for whatever reason, they were not able to like fully manifest it. And
Yeah.
so, like I'm here to say that, don't give up.
Yeah.
This can be done and it can be done in a way that fills us up like never before.
I
Yeah.
love this so much. So, what exactly, kind of what was going on in your business, your life, within yourself before you came into my world and what brought you in?
Yeah. So, before I came into your world, I was kind of like flip-flopping in my business world. Like, where do I focus? How do I maintain my frequency so that I can sustain the 10-figure months and beyond that I really desired, at that time? And so there wasn't a lot of strategy, about how do I bring this vision forward. And then, once I got into the cohort, the thing about being in the cohort is that there is this really beautiful combination of how to really maintain that high frequency and honor who we are to to catapult ourselves into those 10-figure months. But then also there's this really great strategy and marketing that grounds the business, that you say, and I really like this, the masculine structure to ground the business so that our feminine can like lean back and just go forward with the vision. So there's that really wonderful balance of that that made a really big difference for me. And I can keep going if you want. There's a
Yes,
lot I
please
can
do.
say. Well, one of the things too is that you know, and I know that you focus on this in a lot of your programs and you touch on it and expand a little bit on it in the cohort. But you always ask us, what is it that makes us really stand apart? So, you know, there's three pillars in what I call the umbrella of my business, the way of the wise woman, which you helped me get that title, which I really love.
Isn't it amazing? And look how beautifully you were able to share what you do. This
Thank
is how we
you.
this is how we want it to be. We're ready to be on stage now.
Even though I still turn red sometimes.
That's okay.
But anyway, yeah, so there's three pillars that I got really clear on. There is the energetics about clearing the trauma that's, you know, preventing us from really expressing who we are. There is the qigong that helps us embody it, and then there's the channeling. And what I was saying was like you help us get really clear because a lot of people channel, a lot of people do energetics, you know. So what is it that's different about the way that I do it? And so you help us get really clear on our thought leadership. What is it that makes us stand apart? You know, and so for me, you know, channeling right now, it's all the rage, which is really, really exciting. But for many people who channel, they're looking outside of themselves. And the way of the wise woman, it brings us right back in here. So rather than looking at some far away, distant star, right? The bright light, the star is already within us. She is the wise woman within. So the answers are within. So it helped me get really clear. And I know there's even more, which is like, that's the exciting part of it. Like, well, where else can this vision that I have go? But you really help us define like who we are. There is no cookie cutter, which I really like about what you offer in your programs. There is no formula. Yeah, there's the strategy and the marketing that is so important, but there is no cookie cutter, which I love that. It gives us the freedom to be who we are and our unique frequency. I really love that.
Yeah, and I love that you say that because it's like I'm always going to show you how to do things, right? So there's strategy, there's structure, there's very importantly you understanding why. I will always share what I've done, what other clients have done, like help you understand how it works and why it matters. But it's like we still, and I always say this in all of my spaces, even if you're in a program with me, program or proximity or wherever it is,
Mhm.
we still need to have you inside what we're doing, right? There's no like quote unquote framework that is going to be bigger than you are. So we take the pieces of a framework where we're like, okay, because right, business is a puzzle, right? So we're like,
Mhm.
okay, I get how all these pieces would go together and this makes sense. But we
Yeah.
really need to bring your unique genius. We need to bring your magic and we need to bring your way of doing things. So, for example, one client having a 10K month may look very, her content, even if you guys do sort of the same thing, will still read very different to yours, even if
Mhm.
you understand the same principles behind it, because you're different beings. And this is something that is really important to me because I've always had a very hard time being in very framework driven spaces where I start to feel, I always say this is, I attract very, spiritual women who also want the 3D support. And I feel like for us in particular, we actually feel rather than kind of like empowered by frameworks, like we start to feel shut down and it
Mhm.
starts to feel dense. And it's not that we don't want to understand the strategy and how you would do something and what makes sales tick, like all these things that I think are so cool and interesting that are very businessy. But it's like the most important part is understanding it and then like how do we apply it to you, and like I will just die on the hill with that one because I still, for me even now, if you try to put me in like a particular box with these things must be done this way at all times for X, Y, and Z to work, like I collapse. Like it does not make me more money.
Totally, right, and it's suffocating sometimes,
And
it
also when I'm like, how is this on the vibration of building a legacy that you live in a box? Like it makes no sense at all, right?
right,
Because the
right,
whole point is you've been doing things differently.
Yeah, and one thing that you really said that really, landed in me is that we are the brand when it comes
Yeah.
down to it. Yeah, so it's like who we are, the frequency that we bring and the uniqueness. And yes, of course, we need the strategy and the marketing, but they want to see us unfiltered. Yeah.
And so what, because I assume that by this point you'd been in kind of like other business spaces that I'm sure obviously helped you, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm assuming by 10 years in the game.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what kind of like stood out for you about the cohort, even though you've invested in all these business spaces, et cetera, that
Yeah.
like made you desire to join? And then like once you were in the space, obviously you had these incredible results. Like what was different for you about it?
Well, there's a several things. One of them is that well, I mean, it's you start with 4 months. So the 4 months, and if you wanna go longer, you can, but the 4 months, it's really like it's like clear, it's really well thought out. Here's what you do, and like I said, it's the perfect combination of establishing your frequency and then strategy and marketing. The other thing that I really liked a lot, it's a relatively close proximity with you.
Yeah,
We
it is.
2
That's the
times
point.
I know, I love that. We have 2 times per month where we get to bring whatever questions we have, and you review our copy, that really focuses our programs, and you're really good at, identifying the language that is gonna make a program really, really soar. So that close proximity is really, really I like that hands-on very, very much. So that for sure is what, really, made a difference for me.
And I
Mm.
always say this, I think it's really interesting, especially when you start looking at kind of like my income level and above. A lot of times, like supporting women desiring to get the 10K month level is like, oh, just buy this program, just buy this bundle that'll teach you. You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
not very much proximity, and they've kind of like moved their focus to higher, quote unquote, higher income months or like these 50K investments, et cetera, et cetera. And I've always was like, but when I think about part of how I took off so fast, it's like, it's not because I was in private mentorship. It's because I was in a group space, very much like the cohort, because there's so much where there's like, because you have all the content, you have me, you have the healing support, you have the branding support, right? It's very multifaceted. And then also, it's like, it's just a very full experience, or sometimes in private, it can just feel like things are on a drip. You know what I mean? Because you're not receiving
Totally.
all
Yeah,
the content, all the different types of
yeah.
support. And you like the slow drip, like it can work when private is being added on top of like, can you have a foundation in that person's world or like whatever it is, that's very different. But like
Mhm.
most time when we're kind of like newer to business, even income wise, it's like a lot of these things are new in terms of mastering them. And
Yeah,
part of why I soared was actually having that exposure to all of those things cohesively at the same time and
exactly,
not trying to build to 10K months from a 2K program. Like that's not like
exactly.
self-paced 2K program or one with a Q&A call. Like that ain't it.
Yeah.
And like, and then also I'm just such a big believer in that like customization. That's why I've kept the cohort. And also I know that income stage so well, because usually what happens is it's people having 10K months teaching other people to have 10K months, which isn't a problem, but it's
Right.
like my laser ability to see what's going to move you because of how much further ahead I am than that. I'm not like in the weeds with you. Do you know what I mean? It's like I see exactly
Exactly.
what needs to occur because I've transcended far past that. And literally, there's been over 200, I think it's over 100 women through the cohort. Like, this is
Oh.
like a well oiled machine over here. you
Absolutely,
know?
right? And like you said, it's like we have that close proximity to you, but we also have these really talented people, like the healer, in your program, who
Ray.
goes
Yeah.
here in the
Ray's
trauma.
amazing.
Ray is amazing, and then also the
Emily for
designer.
branding.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you get this like really broad spectrum support. And the other thing that I really like too is that I've been in programs where they're like a year long, and I appreciate, mentoring, long-term mentoring and all that. But I like the fact that a lot can be accomplished in just 4 months. I mean, I hit my 9,200 month in the second month of the program. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, we move fast and there's also that exposure to other people. So I think that's
right,
important too, is like you're seeing other people be mentored and
yeah,
the group is pretty intimate. So like you really do get time. This is not like you're a fly on the wall.
right.
For as much as you desire to lean in, you're able to. There's the kind of like our Facebook group for the in between if you have the one-off questions.
Mhm.
But it's a very supportive space. It really is. And I think that's why we're able to get so much done
Yeah,
in 4 months because it's not just okay your offer too, it's going to be like your site, your visual experience, your offers, your offer stack, your messaging, like we're
yeah,
planning around your offer strategy, like you have time to like actually go out into the market, test things, let me know what's happening so we can optimize your strategy,
yeah,
right? Like there's space, it's like it's quote unquote short enough where you're like, well, is it going to take me this long? I mean,
right.
where you're like, don't feel like this is going to need to take forever, but like long enough for it's spacious and you're not rushed.
Right, and I walked out of the program with 2 solid offers that are really, really clear that I am running with, so that felt really good. And then Jocelyn, not to mention, it's just you're a really fun person to be you really are. Yeah, you're activating, which I like, but you're also just a fun person.
Thank you. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Right?
We got to be having fun. We're spending a lot of time together.
Right,
And some parts of business don't always feel like a joyride. You know what I mean?
right,
So, like,
yeah,
I don't need it to be so serious either. I want you guys to get
right.
results, but also, like, and this is when I talk about being paid to be yourself. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not going to do some weird performance in my business of a personality that's not even mine.
Right. I know. Yes, I agree.
And so, okay, so I want to make sure I understood. Thank you for all of that. So, what made you come in the first place? Where you were like, because you've been in other business containers,
Yeah.
it sounds like what differentiated the cohort for you was kind of like the proximity, the focus on the human, the spiritual, the energetic, plus the strategy, the personalization, the range of support in terms of like offer creation, positioning, branding, healing, right? There was like, it's very multidimensional. It sounds like that really stood out for you. And then like what kind of like brought you in to begin with, where you were like, yeah, I'm making this move. Even though it's been
Well,
10 years, even though I've made all these other investments, I'm still doing this.
yeah, well, things were not clicking in my business, even after 10 years. They were not clicking, and I knew that I needed to do something to really take me to the next level so that I could feel the soul satisfaction out of having my dream healing business. And so, it was actually one of your other clients. I was following her, and she was like, "Oh my God, I had these amazing results in your business." And then
Oh,
often what I do is I know that the choice is right for me if I don't think too long about it and I just make an intuitive decision and I just know. I just knew that I had to be in the cohort. So it was really bottom line an intuitive decision, but I also took my time and I looked at what you offer and I saw the full, soup to nuts experience, in your program and so ultimately I just knew this was the program. Yeah.
and I love when we just don't overthink it like that.
Same.
And
Yeah.
isn't it so cool? It's like you always have the choice. It's like we can play in. Did you have to like move through any like personal money fears or anything like that? Or were you pretty okay on that front?
Let me just think about that a moment. Yeah, probably there were some that came up like, "Oh my God, are you really gonna do this?" But it was like, those went to the side and I just was like, "I'm doing it. I am
Yeah.
investing in myself." I knew that this was the right fit for me and that I would get the results that I needed. Yeah.
And you did. And it actually just gets to be that simple.
Right? Yes.
I love this. Thank you so much.
You're
Well, is
welcome.
there anything else that you'd like to share about your experience about being in my world? I mean, you've shared kind of like how you grew. It's so cool for me. Something that is so fun for me to see too is even when, maybe someone's not in proximity with me anymore and like they're like, "Oh my God, but like it's still going. I'm still making money. I still feel in my power." Like, do you know what I mean? Just like continue
Yes.
to see my clients continue to rise. And obviously, like most people will come back or stay, or you know what I mean, how
Yeah,
we kind of like do our things. But like it's just that's amazing to hear too, that it's really sustaining.
exactly,
Like
right?
how you feel, because obviously we need to have
Exactly.
that there.
That's really empowering, isn't it? That it's within me and that it's there. I can call on it when I need it. And I guess if there was only one other thing that I would say is that, I mean, geez, there are so many other programs that I want to take in your world. So
You got to come into the revolution next so you can just get all of them and then you never have to think about it.
right. Yeah, no, it was a really great experience, and I really thank you a lot, and I so appreciate what you do and how you do it, Jocelyn.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it just means so much to me because we've all had it, but I just am so aware of like all these times I felt lost on my journey,
Right,
and it's just so meaningful to me to have spaces like designed for women who are energetic beings, you know what I mean? And of course, like I have some women who play more like on the 3D, some who play more on the energetic, and we always find that hard. And so someone who's kind of more 3D will be like, yeah, I like that she really gets business, and I want to kind of like be more in my feminine vibes and get more in the frequency and
right,
optimize business with her. And then sometimes my more energetic clients will be like, hey, I see that she's going to get me on an energetic level and we're going to like talk about those things, but she's going to bring me the 3D things that I know that I really need to land in order to get the 3D results. Right.
right.
Um, so it's just always, and I'm very much this way too. And I don't know that we always feel like we really have a home on the internet. I feel like a lot of times work tends to tilt when it comes to us getting support for business, kind of like far in one direction or the other.
Right, I know that, that is so true.
And
Yes.
so it's like bringing that harmonization to me feels like important, So I'm just so grateful that you came in and that
Mhm.
now it's just the beginning again.
I know it, right? Here I go, and I feel so much more confident and really excited and inspired by the work that I'm offering. Yeah.
And now it's so cool because it's not only the financial result, it's now the exponential number of people that you get to reach. It's like we say we want to make more impact. I'm like, well, then invest in yourself to learn how to sell to more people so that you can have the people in the room who you are intended to impact. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like it's about you, but it's also about your work. Like you are the product. We need to get the product out.
Y-
Right. And like we need to
Yeah.
get the people buying the product so that you can actually fulfill your mission. Is not going to feel fulfilled when we don't have lots of clients. You know what I mean? Because then
Oh, I
it's
know
like
it.
it doesn't work.
Right, and then what happens though is that we get like this clarity from being in the cohort. I'm so much clearer with what I'm offering. I know what my message is. I know who my ideal soul aligned clients are, so that really helps a lot.
Yeah. And it's like, it's interesting because it's like, we'll know we need to know it, but knowledge is not the same thing as embodiment. So
Oh
it's very
God.
different to get in the room and do the work. And then it's like grounded. It's not something that you know is important. It's something that you have clarity and certainty around. These are two different things.
Oh my God, that's so true, isn't it? We've got to embody it if we're going to, spread that message and be successful at it. Embodiment is so important, isn't it? Boy, yeah.
Yes. Which is why we need to get in the room. Yes. This is so amazing. So, Joan, for anyone who would like to get in touch with you, what do you have coming up in your world? What are the best ways to reach you? Obviously, any links that you provided, my team will put in the episode notes, but I'd love for everyone to hear on the show here as well.
Oh, thanks so much. Well, they can reach me at JoanDargo.com. I have several offers that are upcoming. One is a business mastermind under the Way of the Wise Woman umbrella. And then I also have a high proximity one-on-one VIP mentoring around. I call it Your Radiant Second Spring. And those are for women who are 50 above. We're done menstruating, but we're not done yet, right? And so it's like tapping into what is coming in this next level, of our lives, and how do I achieve it by really tapping into and channeling the wise woman within. And then I'm also going to offer a smaller program about how do we channel? What is the value of channeling? Just kind of more broad spectrum, not necessarily your wise woman within, but we have this internal guidance system that is just waiting to be tapped into, that knows us better than anyone. So, how we can really channel to really enhance all areas of our lives. Yeah.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love your
Yeah.
work. Thank you for sharing
Aw,
that.
thank you,
And
Jen.
then if anyone has not made the move into the cohort yet, or somewhere else they're desiring to come into my world, what would you have to share with them?
Oh my God. Just don't hesitate. Full body, yes. Go for it. Invest in yourself. It will make a huge difference in how you feel about your work, your offers, and the confidence that you can have in yourself. Just go for
Thank you.
it.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. This is just such an incredible conversation. And it's so nice to connect with you this way. I always feel like there's a different texture when we do
Yeah.
these interviews, because when we're on calls, like in, programs and stuff, we're doing, I know today's still business things, but you know what I mean? Like it feels
Oh,
different.
yeah. Yeah. It feels really, really good. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, of course. And congratulations on your $9,200 cash month. We love that.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, Joan.
Hi, Jocelyn. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much. I'm
Oh my
super
gosh.
excited to be here.
I'm so happy to be here too. I think it's just such a cool moment to like I've had a few clients be like, "Oh my